right, to start this first part off of this episode, we will be interviewing a parent. Now, please tell me what school was like for you as a child or as an adolescent. Would you have changed anything, while you were in school?
Um, no, I really liked school as a child. I went to school in Cleveland. I went to an elementary school called Iowa Maple Elementary School, the best time of my entire life. That was back when teachers really cared and we learned a lot. And I was in advanced classes and I played an instrument, went to downtown Cleveland, got private lessons. I could say that I liked elementary school a lot better than I liked middle school.
All right, who was your champion while you were in school? What did your champions do for you while you were in school?
Well, I would probably say my champion would be my guidance counselor because I applied to Bowling Green State University and they told me that they were not accepting any more students. So I cried and I ran to my guidance counselor because I felt like my world had been destroyed. And he told me, he said, with your grades, with your personality, he goes, don't worry about it, drop your tears, I'm going to get you in. 2 days later, I received a call from Bowling Green State University telling me that they were going to allow my admission. So he's my champion.
How much do you know about how schools are funded? How did you learn this? What would you still like to know?
I really don't know a lot about how schools are funded. It never really was something of interest to me. All that I knew is that I went to school and I learned a lot, and my mother would talk about things such as levies passing in order to keep certain classes. And I didn't understand that. I really just didn't want to know about it because I was going to school every day learning and having a good time. So it really wasn't that important to me.
All right. How involved are families in helping decide what students should learn? How involved are students in deciding what students should learn?
Well, my parents were not very active in deciding what I should learn because they knew I was a very bright individual and they knew that the classes that I was taking in school was going to help me get ready for college. So they left it up to me. Now, I was very active in what I should take in school because I knew I wanted to get ready for college. So I took college preparatory classes to get me ready for my education at Bowling Green State University.
Do you think teachers or community members or businesses are like involved in what a student learns in school?
Well, I would always say I kind of thought more that teachers were more responsible for what we learned in school because they were the teachers and they were giving me the education.
Yep.
But businesses are quite involved because they supply sometimes some of the money for extracurricular activities and they sponsor students and things like that. But I just always thought the teacher's there, so I'm learning what I need to be learning. Okay, so what I actually remember about businesses is that when I was a freshman in high school and I wanted to go to cheerleading camp and it was really expensive to go away for a week for cheerleading camp. So we as cheerleaders were responsible for going to different businesses in the community and asking them to sponsor us for our cheerleading trip for camp. And so I gathered all the money that I needed for camp from businesses sponsoring me. So that's actually when I started to learn how the community came into play into some of our events for high school.
To what extent has school changed for students today, and how so?
When I was in school, school was a lot more strict, and the teachers were a lot more stern. We knew what was expected of us and we knew what we could not get away with. And at that time, we were afraid to be sent to the principal's office. Nowadays, it seems to be a lot more relaxed. Teachers wear jeans and flip-flops and the kids don't seem to care about being disciplined when they misbehave. So it seems like nowadays school is a lot more relaxed than it was when I was in school.
Tell me about your ideal school.
My ideal school would actually be the school that both of my children attended. Hawken High School was a good school, one of the rated #1 private schools in Ohio. It gave a good education and it allowed the students to be adults. Um, Notre Dame Cathedral Latin was a very nice high school, a Catholic high school, brought religion into teachings, and it expressed love and kids having to have each other's back and love one another. So I actually love the 2 high schools that my children attended.
What are the needs of your school community? How do the schools meet the needs of those they serve?
Could you repeat that one more time, please?
What are the needs of your school community, and how do schools meet the needs of those they serve?
Okay, well, in my community that I'm living in right now, a great need is to have more law enforcement in the schools, because nowadays these kids are fighting. I see videos of all of the fights that occur at the high schools. And so now they have people from the sheriff departments that are in the schools all day long to assist with some of the kids that are totally out of control now. So now, when I was in school...
What is success in school? How did you come up with this understanding?
Okay, well, success for me in school is basically going to classes, doing your homework, and passing the classes. And I don't mean with just basically like D's or C's. I mean actually passing a class with an A or a B basically means success to me. And retaining the information that you're learning.
How did you come up with that way of understanding?
Because I'm all about being in the top of the class. That was my goals for high school. I wanted to be in the top 5% in my class. I think when you go to school, you take advantage of what's being offered to you.
What role would you like to play in making school places in which all children are successful?
I would like to make sure that children are in a comfortable atmosphere where they can learn and be comfortable and not be scared of being bullied. I want to make sure that if a child is having troubles learning, that they are specialized programs for those that are having trouble, so that they could get more attention, more one-on-one, if that's what they need.
How does your understanding of success compare to the way state understands success?
My understanding of success is you feeling comfortable with doing the best that you know you could do. Whereas the state would feel that if you're in the top percentile of certain schools in Ohio, then you're successful. No, that's not what success is. Success is knowing what you can do and maybe stepping outside of that box to maybe do a little bit better, and feeling comfortable and feeling satisfied with what you have done.
What role would you like to play in making school places in which all children are successful?
I would like to make sure that children are in a comfortable atmosphere where they can learn and be comfortable and not be scared of being bullied. I want to make sure that if a child is having troubles learning, that they are specialized programs for those that are having trouble, so that they could get more attention, more one-on-one, if that's what they need.
How does your understanding of success compare to the way state understands success?
My understanding of success is you feeling comfortable with doing the best that you know you could do. Whereas the state would feel that if you're in the top percentile of certain schools in Ohio, then you're successful. No, that's not what success is. Success is knowing what you can do and maybe stepping outside of that box to maybe do a little bit better, and feeling comfortable and feeling satisfied with what you have done.
All right, to start off this interview, we will be interviewing another parent. Please tell me what school was like for you as a child or as an adolescent, and would you have changed anything?
School for me as an adolescent was full of fond memories and experiences. A lot of development, learning. When you look back at it, friendships made, some that last a lifetime. Um, so I think all in all, as a whole, educationally it was great, and from a mental standpoint and a friendship standpoint, it was wonderful.
All right. Who was your champion while you were in school?
Well, early on, it was, believe it or not, in elementary school, a lunch aide, a friend's mother, Mrs. Jagers, she always looked after me and made sure that I was into my studies, that I didn't cause any trouble, and, just gave me that motherly kind of guidance while I was at school, elementary wise. High school, it was more or less an occupational work experience teacher, Mr. Bell. He made sure that I attended classes, that I thought about life after school and life after work, all the way through life. So he was a pretty influence.
All right. How much do you know about how schools are funded?
I know they get some federal money, some state money, and that's about all I know.
Is there a specific way that you learned this?
Just through teachers' strikes and negotiations and listening to school boards talk and physically working at schools myself as an older adult.
Is there anything you would like to know about how they're funded?
Yeah, there's a few things that I'd like to know. Like who divvies up the money after it goes to the school board? Where's the oversight there? How do they decide what area gets money? Is that a state thing? Is there federal oversight on the state? There's a couple things I'd like to know.
How involved are families in helping decide what students should learn?
Well, there should be some balance, but it should be practical, because a parent can hamper a child's development as well as enhance it. So I wouldn't, as far as, there needs to be a set guideline of what's taught, and then you can balance family and what's needed off of that.
How involved are students in deciding what students should learn?
That should be very important, because they set the trends. They are the trends, in everything from engineering to fashion. They are the future. So why shouldn't the future decide the future?
How involved are teachers in deciding what students should learn?
They can teach about the future, so they should be very involved, because they see the kids on a daily basis, and sometimes more than the parents.
How involved are community members, businesses, or community organizations in what students should learn?
They should have a hand, small hand, because they decide what the workforce is, and you need to teach the workforce according to what's out there for them to go to.
Do you have any examples of this environment, or if not, what would you like to see happen?
Well, it's like Elon Musk going into space, you know. There might be a call for engineers and astronauts. So, and you can start from the beginning, a kid seeing it on TV. Then you can start with there being more demand for it in the marketplace because it's there. Then you need the teachers to teach it because there's a call for it. And boom, I can see that happening. So that's my example of that happening.
All right. To what extent has school changed for students today?
It's being more restricted by state government. The government is now wanting to have a hand in what's being taught in the schools, and now teachers can get in trouble for teaching things that they used to teach, which is a little different, a lot different.
Tell me what your ideal school is in your head.
School, not too many kids in the classroom. Broad-based learning and finding a student's interest early on or a special gifts early on and targeting that and sending him off on a path that enhances his ability early on. School designed for something like that.
What are the needs of your school community, and how do schools meet the needs of those they serve?
Schools always need more teachers and more money, and the outreach of the schools is not that broad because the funding is not that high.
How do they know to what extent they are successful in meeting their needs?
By the outcome of what their students are, what the students become, not actually where they go, what they become.
What is success in school, and how did you come up with this understanding?
Success in school is maximizing your ability to what you're taught and applying it to life. And hopefully it works. And if it works, I think it's somewhat successful what you've been taught.
How did you come up with this way of thinking?
My parents.
What role would you like to play in making school places in which all children are successful?
Tailor classes to maximize their abilities when you notice their abilities, or tailor classes to enhance their weaknesses to make them stronger and more well-rounded.
How does your understanding of success compare to the way the state understands success?
State's basic core curriculum, take a test, you pass, which can be, you can manufacture test grades and teach to the test instead of teaching to the strengths of the students. So you got issues there.